उमज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री कृष्ण बलराम की। After describing varieties of hellish planets, the kind of sufferings inflicted upon sinful living entities by the order carriers of Yamaraja, now Lord Kapila is telling his mother that the hellish situation, the painful conditions inflicted upon the living entities in the hellish planets can be seen in other planets as well. So if we say other planets means, specifically he is telling, are sometimes visible on this planet also. So here, in this earthly planet also, we find the painful conditions which a living entity undergoes in hellish planets are seen here also. Srila Prabhupada in the purport says, why Kapila is telling this? Because there are some unbelievers. When we say heaven, hell, these planets exist in this material universe, there are many of them who are not ready to believe this. No, these are all something imaginary, just to keep some human beings on track. So some sages or some intelligent beings, they have imagined all of these things and such way they describe. Okay, even if you think those are imaginary, still the descriptions given here, the sufferings, the kind of sufferings mentioned here, to some extent, maybe to a large extent also, we see even in this planet also. What do we see? Atraiva naraka svarga iti mata prachakshate. Mataha, O mother, atraiva naraka svarga. In this planet also we find conditions similar to some heavenly planets. Yes, we have seen, we go to some hill stations, maybe some nature, good rivers, forest, trees, good surrounding, good setting, and we feel very pleasant, very happy. Such settings we find in this earthly planet also. And also narakaha, there are many hellish conditions also. We'll come to it later. Atraiva naraka svarga iti matah pratakshate ya yatana vai narakyas ta ihabi upalakshitaha. So specifically he's telling about narakyaha. Krishna Balarama ki jai. Ya yatana vai narakyaha. Whatever yatana means sufferings. Ya yatana vai narakyaha. In hellish conditions, whatever sufferings we find, ta iha api upalakshita. Here also we find that. In this context, we can remember the famous example which Srila Prabhupada gave when he was in London. Some devotees, some discussion was there about hellish conditions, suffering, and Srila Prabhupada made this big statement. Where do you want to go to see hell? Here is hell. This London, always full of cold, dampness, darkness. Few months in the year only sunlight is visible. Very cold, drizzling and raining and snowfall. It is nothing but hell. See, this is the vision of a devotee. Just to make things more clear, I googled, like say, about the kinds of suffering. Just like in the outside world, maybe as of today, are people suffering? What do you say? Yes or no? They are suffering? Just to come to reality, what's actually happening in the outside world? I was searching in the internet. There I got this piece of information. As per the International Rescue Committee, so it's a part of the UNO, so that there is one International Rescue Committee. So they have compiled this data, last year's emergency watch list. They have made like list of places wherein people are suffering in varieties of ways. And okay, little suffering here and there, everywhere it is there, but they have made some ranking, top 10 countries wherein situation is worst. It's like they call it emergency watch list, emergency condition. A global list of humanitarian crisis. Humanitarian crisis meaning even basic necessities of a human being, living conditions are not being met. So there, the list goes on. One of the countries is Sudan. There is political tension, there is drought, no water. 3 million people are displaced. Meaning millions of people, 3 million, no home, no place to stay, just nomads. They wander from one place to one place, looking for food, looking for shelter, looking for water, no fixed residence. 3 million people. And the drought conditions are so worse that 6 million people have no access to food, a single meal a day. In fact, I saw one video also wherein small children are there. The women, they have taken some mud, earth, and they finally see to it that all the bigger portions of the sand, those things are removed. Fine mud. They mix it with water, nicely, they make it into like a dough, and they just like rotis, they make it into a thin layer, dry it in the sun, and once it is sun dried, it is hard, and that it is nicely broken, and the children are eating that. Thin layer of mud. They don't have anything practically to eat. To somehow, to quench their hunger. Something they have found out. Of course, that is not healthy, and later some different health issues they'll undergo. But what to do? To satisfy their hunger pangs, they are eating that mud. Likewise, next is Syria. Wars from decades. We have heard of wars, maybe few days, few months, few years. No. Their war is going on from 30, 40, 50 years. People are fighting with each other, the neighboring territories, especially the political leaders. They only don't have proper food to feed their citizens, but somewhere, some unoccupied territory, they want to go and occupy that land, this land, and it's going on for decades together. There, 6.8 million people are displaced. The government is fighting with terrorists to take back the control of lost territories. And then Somalia, which is like say disease outbreak, lot of diseased condition, no proper healthcare facilities, 2.9 million people affected. And Myanmar, our neighboring country, not too far, the military has taken over the government control. There is internal conflict. There are many groups, individual groups fighting against the military, and there 3.3 million people are displaced from their homes. And it seems very recently, just one or two days back, the Indian government has decided to put a fence between the border. Because if these conditions are there, what will happen? They try to come to other countries wherein conditions are good. So the Indian government, so many refugees already we are taking care, they are putting a fence so that those people should not enter our territory. Likewise, the list goes on in Congo, Nigeria, Yemen, Ethiopia, and the top one in that list is Afghanistan. After the Taliban has taken over the government, 97 people are below the poverty line. 97% of the population. They don't have proper food, proper shelter, proper clothing, basic healthcare facilities, nothing. All healthcare staff from other countries have gone back because of whatever after the takeover. There is practically no healthcare facility. And the worst affected are women and girls. They are subject to different kinds of abuse and tortures. So, it's not some one person, few people, one community. No, millions and millions of people, worst living conditions, no, even basic whatever facilities are not being met, but still they are living, they are continuing to live in this world. And in fact, there are many countries, they are fighting to take over the territories of other regions. Such things we find in this world as of today. I am not speaking some history or what the Bhagavatam is telling. This is the reality of this material world as of today. Compared to this, we devotees, every day we wake up, come to temple hall, attend Mangalarati, Kirtan, do our chanting, then attend class, and immediately after class, we go to the Prasadam hall, Prasadam is ready. And daily we go ahead with our whatever regular activities, preaching work, devotees go outside, travel, come back in the night, take rest. And especially we see here in the ashram, we take rest, doors are kept open 24 hours. We don't even mind to lock the doors. When we compare this situation, everyone has not got this facility. Even in our neighboring countries, we have heard recently how some terrorist attacks on temples, devotees were being beaten up and some even murdered also. Such conditions are there even in our neighboring countries. But many a times we forget the facilities, the comforts, what we have got. So we should feel very fortunate for this. In the Bhagavatam, we hear about great devotees, great personalities undergoing varieties of sufferings. Some examples can you say from the Bhagavatam? The Pandavas, the best example. They were so righteous people, they were princes. Still, the kind of suffering they had to undergo was terrible. Any other example? Yes, Prahalada, the son of the greatest emperor of that time, Hiranyakashipu. His father himself began terrorizing him. Then Gajendra. Okay, Gajendra. Yes. So many years he had to fight with a crocodile in that suffering condition. So now, I'll read out one very nice portion from the Bhagavatam which comes in the 11th canto. So here, it comes as a part of the instruction given by Lord Krishna to Uddhava. So Krishna speaks to Uddhava, lot of messages, lot of stories he tells. So in that portion we find the description of one Brahmana from Avanti. So this is a story of Avanti Brahmana. So this Brahmana, this Avanti Brahmana was earlier a merchant and an agriculturalist, but he was very, very greedy. Greed for money, wanted to make more and more money, more property, wealth, and very stingy in spending. And because of this, nobody liked him. Everybody revolted against him. Even his own family members, he was not taking care of them properly. They were not supporting him in his endeavor to make money. So they were all against him. They did not like him. At one point of time, everyone abandoned him. His children, even his wife, all his relatives, his servants, everyone abandoned him. And somehow, by misfortune, the hard-earned money, everything was taken away. He was bereft of all of his money and all of his near and dear ones. So practically a day came wherein he had no support from any of his family members or friends or neighbors, and he did not have a single penny. He was just thrown out of his house. In that condition, somehow he was fortunate to remember the Supreme Lord, and he took up sannyasa. As a mendicant, he started wandering around the world to different places, thinking about the Supreme Lord. He became very ashamed, very repentant on whatever he had done in his past, and he decided the rest of his life he will remember the Supreme Lord to get rid of himself of whatever the past sinful activities. And in fact, he took up like say the vow of Mauna. He did not speak to others also, because when he was young, all his ability of speech, he used it for abusing people and criticizing, and so much he was causing pain to others. So he decided not to speak. Now let us see. After he decided that I will not inflict pain to anyone, as a simple devotee, I lead my life with begging profession, whatever alms I can get as a sannyasi, bhikshu, I will accept it and remain satisfied. But the people around him, they did not spare him. The kind of torture, the kind of pain he underwent, this is description in the Bhagavatam. I will read out its portion. Shri Bhagavan Vacha, that is Lord Krishna, says this to Uddhava. Iti abhipretya manasa hi avantyo dvija sattamaha unmuchya hridaya granthin shanto bhikshur abhun munihi. Lord Krishna continued, his mind thus determined that most excellent Avanti Brahmana was able to untie the knots of desire within his heart. He then assumed the role of a peaceful and silent sannyasi mendicant. So he became a silent Shanto Bhikshur Abhunt Munihi, a silent, peaceful sannyasi mendicant. He took up this kind of a role. Then what did he do? I'll go on reading only the translations, otherwise it will take a lot of time. He wandered about the earth, keeping his intelligence, senses and life air under control. So keeping all his senses and mind controlled. To beg charity, he travelled alone to various cities and villages. He did not advertise his advanced spiritual position and thus was not recognized by others. Others could not recognize how advanced he was in his spiritual life. Even he did not advertise that. So to beg charity, as a mendicant, as a sannyasi, they travel from one place to another. So next what happened? O Uddhava, seeing him as an old, dirty beggar, rowdy persons would dishonor him with many insults. It's just a beggar with untidy clothes. So a lot of such elements will be there in the society. They started dishonoring him. They started insulting him. Some of these persons would take away his sannyasi rod. Sannyasa danda, they would take away that. And some of them would take away his water pot. Water bottle, whatever he had. They took away, which he was using as a begging bowl. When his begging bowl was taken away, some took his deerskin seat, and some of them his chanting beads, japamala, whatever, they used to snatch it away. And some would steal his torn, ragged clothing also. Just the only few clothing he had, even that they used to take it away. Displaying these things before him, they would pretend to offer them back, but they would then hide them again. So practically like teasing him, take like that, they used to come and they used not to give it, hide it or throw it or take it away from him. All of these mischief they were doing with this Avanti Brahmana. Then, when he was sitting on the bank of a river, about to partake the food that he had collected by his begging. So full day he had collected some distinct alms he had got. So he had taken that, sat on the river side, just about to eat it. such sinful rascals would come and pass urine on it, and they would dare to spit on his head. Although he had taken a vow of silence, they would try to make him speak, and if he did not speak, they would beat him with sticks. Others would chastise him, saying, "Oh, this man is a thief," and others would bind him with ropes, shouting, "Tie him up, tie him up." So like this, he was silent, he did not protest. So people, they were beating him, they were tying him up, calling him a thief, and all of these things. They would criticize and insult him, saying, "This man is just a hypocrite and a cheat. He makes a business of religion simply because he lost all his wealth and his family threw him out." Other persons would pass foul air upon him, and sometimes others would bind this twice-born Brahmana in chains and keep him captive like a pet animal. The Brahmana understood that all his suffering from other living beings, from the higher forces of nature and from his own body was unavoidable, being allotted to him by providence. So this Avanti Brahmana, whatever from other living entity, that is Adhyatmika, Adibhautika, Adidaivika kleshas, everything he tolerated as being allotted to him by providence, by the Supreme Lord. Even while being insulted by these low-class men who were trying to effect his downfall, he remained steady in his spiritual duties. Fixing his resolution in a mode of goodness, he began to chant the following song. So a nice, this Bhikshu Gita they call, nice prayers he offers to the Supreme Lord in this condition. So this portion I read out just to show how the kind of, as whatever Kapila Muni says here, Ya yatana vai narakyas ta ihapi upalakshita. There are many people who don't believe that hellish planets exist. So for such people, we can say how even in this planet also hellish conditions are there. People are made to suffer similar to a hellish planet. It may be the outside, whatever, the millions of people, the examples what I gave of what we find in the third world countries, or even in case of devotees, great devotees, different kinds of sufferings they are made to undergo even in this planet also. Now, in another portion of the Bhagavatam, we find this verse. Shvavid vara hoshtra karai samstuta purusha pashuhu nayat karna patopeto jatuna magadagrajaha. There, 4 animals are being spoken of. Shva, Vidvaraha, Khara and Ushtra. Dog, camel, a hog and a donkey or an ass. So these animals, like actually there the description is given how those people who Nayat Karna Patopeto, who do not hear the message of the Supreme Lord, are compared to these animals. Why? Because if they are not inclined to devotional service, they simply act like these animals in this material world. Their activities will be just similar to these, whatever, dogs, camels, donkey and one more, donkey or ass, hog or a pig, yes. So there, in the purport, very beautifully Srila Prabhupada, very clearly he mentions practically how the modern day man, how he is acting very similar to the animals mentioned here. After finishing a so-called education, the so-called educated persons move like dogs from door to door with applications for some service. So this we see practically. All children, they go to school, then to college, and different degrees, titles they get, certificates they get. After that what? Move from door to door with applications for some job. And mostly they are driven away, informed of no vacancy. Some dogs come, we drive it away. Like that, people go with whatever applications, mostly they are driven away, informed of no vacancy. As dogs are negligible animals and serve the master faithfully for bits of bread, to maintain a dog, to make a dog faithful to you, it's not very difficult. So you are eating something, so throw some pieces of bread or some chapati or something, some eatable, the dog eats that, it is very satisfied with that, it wags its tail and just it whatever follows you. It will be with you. This we have seen. So likewise, people, they work hard, sacrificing their whatever at the risk of their health and so many things, just for some pieces of paper, currency notes, which the employer throws at his face at the end of the month. And taking that, he is very happy. Wagging his tail, he is very faithful to his master. So, just like dogs, negligible animals, and serve the master faithfully for bits of bread, a man serves a master faithfully without sufficient rewards. So he thinks at the end of that month, whatever the paycheck, that itself sufficient reward for him. But at what cost? He's working 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours a day, risking his whatever family life or his health and so many other things. But he thinks it's a big reward what is given to him. So just he acts like a dog. Likewise a hog, eating all kinds of abominable things. I will not get into the details of that. Likewise a camel. A camel, the example of how the camel goes and eats the dry thorns. The thorns go and prick his tongue, his gums and inner portion of his mouth, and it starts bleeding, and the thorn mixed with the blood, it creates a nice taste for the camel, and it wants to eat the thorn more and more. In the due course, it's bleeding itself. Srila Prabhupada compares people who are too much inclined to sex life. They are giving away their own blood in the form of semen and considering this to be enjoyment, highest pleasure. They are compared to camels. And then a donkey carrying a huge burden. The washerman, he puts on its back loads of weight, carries it towards the river side, washes the clothes and brings that heavy load back to his home, and the donkey carries that, and for what reward? For a bunch of grass. The donkey is thinking, if I carry this huge load, then I will get this grass. It doesn't know if I throw this whatever big load aside, so much of grass is available in the outside world. But it is thinking, if I work for this washerman, if I carry this huge burden, only then will I get whatever the grass, what I can eat and sustain myself. So these conditions exist in this material world. People, today's modern day man, is undergoing all of these things. He works just like a dog or a donkey or a camel or a hog. He eats unwanted things and he thinks this is happiness. So that's exactly what Prabhupada writes here. For example, if a man is to be punished to remain in hell and to eat stool and urine, then first of all, he practices such habits on the planet of Yamaraja, and then he is given a particular type of body, that of a hog, so that he can eat stool and think that he is enjoying life. So here specifically, a sinful man, now he is supposed to be made to eat the stool of another animal. So for the training also is required for that. He is taken to some hellish planets, forcefully he is made to eat, and then he is given a body of a hog in this material world, and he continues that. And he continues to eat the stool of another animal and thinks, this is happiness, this is pleasure. And then it is stated previously that in any hellish condition, the conditioned soul thinks he is happy. Otherwise, it would not be possible for him to suffer hellish life. So he is thinking that this is happiness. This is the main problem. If at all he realizes, Arey Baba, I'm suffering like this, somehow I should get rid of this suffering, then at least, okay, the Lord as Paramatma, he may guide him, some good sense may come to him, and whatever, he can change his position, his destiny. But the real problem is that he doesn't know that he is suffering. The suffering condition, what he is put into, he is thinking this itself, whatever, this is pleasure. Some little, whatever, sensual, some gratification is there, I am enjoying this. He is unable to realize that he is being put into such suffering conditions. So now, as devotees, we should be very clear by reading the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna very clearly he says, this material world is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. It's a temporary place of suffering. So if at all we want to come out of this suffering, this knowledge is highly essential. So that's why Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Every day we have to hear the message from Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Only then we can realize what is real happiness, what is suffering. And not to think of suffering conditions to be whatever, that we are happy and continue that suffering condition. So another place it is said, what is that? Yasyam vai shruyamanayam Krishne paramapurushe bhaktirutpadyate pumsaha shoka moha bhaya apaha. Only by hearing the message of Srimad Bhagavatam on a regular basis, bhaktir utpadyate, devotion to the Supreme Lord arises in one's heart, and through which shoka moha bhaya apaha, lamentation, the illusion, what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad, we are under illusion. So this kind of an illusion, moha, and bhaya, fear, is whatever we can get rid of. We'll end with this. Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.